Sports are more than just a competition and a trophy. Sports are a portal for everyday people to pursue their wildest dreams on some of the world's largest stages. My name is Riley Sager, and I'll be taking you along with me as I hear from SBC and VSL alumni who pursued a career in the business of sports. In this series, I will sit down with guests to discuss strategies for entering the sports world and what you can do to differentiate yourself in the industry. From playing to coaching to broadcasting, the common denominator for any job in sports is the ability to push oneself to become a master at their craft while connecting with others who share that same passion to be great. Let's get into it. Today's guest is VSL alum Valentina Mattioli. Valentina is currently a travel operations project manager for the Paris 2024 Olympics and Paralympics, bringing her talents to one of the world's largest sporting events. Valentina's career began after earning her bachelor's degree in translation and interpretation, as well as advertising, marketing, and public relations from CIELS University. From there, she launched her career at FIBA, starting as a communications intern and rising to the role of project manager in Barcelona. In today's episode, Valentina shares her inspiring story from her early days at FIBA and interning at NBA Summer League to her work on the global stage at the Paris Olympics, offering valuable insights into the world of sports operations. We couldn't be more excited to have Valentina on the podcast this week. Let's jump into it. Hi, Valentina. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks to the SBC team. It's a pleasure.
I know. I'm really excited to get into your history in sports. I can't believe it's been over a year since we last worked together over the summer at Summer League. But we did see each other in Paris last fall, so that was nice to reconnect.
Absolutely. It was very special.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it. So you obviously have a lot of experience in sports, and it kind of started with your university degree. So if you want to touch on that a little bit, why you went to your university and like what you thought you would get out of it.
Sure. I think we should go back to 2017 when I graduated from high school in Italy, 1 year after my American high school diploma, which I get in LA. And at that point, I decided to go for a major in languages, in translation and interpretation. I took Arabic, I took Spanish, I took English, into Italian, because I wanted those languages to be applied to international marketing, PR, communications, as a minor. This was a choice that the university I chose, the CIELS University in Bologna, Italy, allowed me, and it was very special to me because the university was in Bologna. Bologna in Italy is a basketball city, which meant a lot to me because at that time I had my license to be a basketball table official. So moving to Bologna would have allowed me to continue work in sports where I was making my first money. Was I could attend games, the top youth championships were playing there. So I was very, it was a choice that could allow me to do a lot of things, and it opened up a lot of doors because the university had several scholarships program, and I ended up winning 2 for my high grades. It was 2 study abroad programs. The first one was basically studying in a foreign university. I went to Spain, and I did learn the language as a local Spanish. It was very fortunate because it allowed me to connect with the FIBA and do my second scholarship as an intern at FIBA, where my first bosses were speaking Spanish, so I could speak to them in Spanish, in English. It was definitely an advantage compared to others, and that's how it started into sports officially, let's say.
When you were at university, did you know you wanted to work for FIBA, or did you kind of just go with it and see what opportunities came up?
Let's say I did know it was my top choice because I was born and raised in Pesaro. Pesaro in Italy, it's basketball's hometown. It's a basketball city with the first division league. So I basically started watching basketball when I was 2 weeks old, probably. My mom was also table official. My dad was a referee. So they've been taking me to the arena, to the gym of first Division League, but also the lower series all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I grew up loving basketball, watching lots of games. And when I was learning foreign languages, I was like, okay, this must be the way to connect the dots and link my passion and new skills in new language to be a potential candidate at FIBA. On top, I was already volunteer working as table official in some tournaments that were happening in Italy or around Italy. So there, I started meeting the first people that would eventually work in FIBA or were there. And then I reached out to offer myself as an intern. And that's how I got started. So when FIBA was like, okay, we actually are looking for interns, I was like, yes, I'm so ready. I'm so excited. Please give me this internship. You work ready, I work ready.
That's special, to have an internship that you kind of grew up around. It was in the family. What was that like when you found out you got the internship?
I was very excited, but I was I kind of like felt it arrived in a good moment, in a sense that I was ready because I knew that all the choices I had made before somehow led me to know the person, know the language, know the game, know the project, or still business. So somehow I've been working for years, consciously and unconsciously, towards building myself and direct myself towards a place where I want to be. And during the internship was very lucky. It comes to luck sometimes. You need to be in the right moment, but also in the right place, but also the right moment. Is that they had the vacancy I was offered during the internship. So that was the game changer in my career because I was still in college. But I told myself, it's happening now. So either you take it or you, Vale, you regret it for the rest of your life. And I don't like to think I went for it all the way.
Certainly paid off. You got a lot of experience from your university for this internship, just like you said, those skills, kind of subconsciously knowing how to do the job. But what were some skills that you learned or you didn't really know much about going into it?
Oh, well, lots of skills. Honestly, starting my career at FIBA was a blessing, but also the opportunity to learn on so many skills and roles because when I took the job, it was no longer a communication position. They had another opening, so it was more team services, meaning you have to provide the logistics to all the stakeholders, to work the clients, teams, officials, FIBA staff, guests, and so on. At the same time, they needed somebody to take care of all the brand part, or the look and signage, or the partners, activations. So it was very different from the rest. So I had to learn myself how to use Adobe, all the package, all the suite. And on top of that, after a couple of years doing these different roles, we also, FIBA wanted to get more involved in sustainability. And there was a very important famous certificate. It's called ISO 20121 about the event sustainability management system. And they offered me to lead the project. It was a very big project. And so I also learned about sustainability on top of all the rest. So you can imagine that in over 3 years there, I've been covering lots of things, learning a lot. It was a blessing for this reason. I'm very thankful for FIBA for this opportunity.
Especially with such a large organization, international organization like FIBA, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that you're learning all the time, meeting new people, that kind of thing. So what was it like leading that project? Like, what was your mindset going into it?
Well, there's so much going on because, as you said, it's an international organization, one of the largest, the most important. So you get to work, and my kids a very young age, with organizers from all over the world. meaning on the same day you are working in Japan and then you're working with some European organizers, and then before leaving at the end of the day you're working with a Central or with the Americas. So there's so much happening in terms of different languages, in terms of different cultures, because not all cultures, not all organizers work in the same way. So it's very important to understand how to talk to people, how to communicate, how to tackle some issues with all of them. And there was great opportunity, but you need to the grind is real, because there's so much effort to be put in all these different projects, even simultaneously, because when we were having events of different level, let's say, so top senior events, but also youth competitions or qualifying tournaments, you have to be taking care of all of this, and it does not require the same effort, or does not have the same importance, I would say. So you need to learn really how to leverage all these and how to balance it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I can't imagine how busy you are with all these things going on. What did a typical day look like?
Oh, well, it would start in the morning with already some work to do, some emails to reply with the Middle East, where you were already late for Japan or Southeast Asia, and different calls with different organizers on different topics. So maybe I was just reviewing some looking signage or working on graphic stuff on my own in my productive time, and then alternating with the calls with organizers or agency from other parts of the world on different events. So you really have to swap very quickly from one thing to another. And you need to really know how to be a good project manager to keep track of all happening.
It's a lot of organization. And you mentioned it can be tough communicating with those internationally. Maybe there's a language barrier, that kind of thing, time change. So how do you go about solving those issues when there's, something that needs to be done, but maybe it's a communication barrier?
Well, there are several techniques. So with certain countries, it's easier to, for instance, talk on the phone. With others, it's easier to go by emails because, of course, to use automatic translators, that can help a lot. But then you also realize that at some point you need to be present on site to the event. Either you do a site visit or you land on the event with, say, 1 week before it starts. So there's always a language barrier and some difficulties you need to grow and be tackled over a long period of time, over months, to build a relationship, to build a communication strategy between the FIBA, the governing body, and the local organizing committee. And you also need to build trust. It's super important to get to know the other part and to trust each other, because if you don't trust each other, the event is not going to happen or it's not going to work.
A lot of people work in sports, but at the same time, it's a small industry, and it kind of seems like everybody knows everybody. So that's why relationships are so important and just connecting. So what would you recommend to people trying to get into the industry and build that trust? Because it's not something that happens overnight.
And it's not, and you need to be given an opportunity at the beginning. So this is for sure, but also I would say you need to, as a piece of advice, you need to show up. It was key at the beginning of my career. You need to show up, show you care, be proactive. In the first events I was going to, I wasn't getting paid, or I was just there to volunteer. But still, I was getting the opportunity to shadowing the people working in those organizations, to ask the right questions, to observe, and you observe a lot, and you learn by observing, but you also have to do. So start doing the small things, the small tasks, and eventually by doing, you continue learning a lot.
Is there a specific mentor that you had that you really looked up to, or someone who was in a leadership position that encouraged you to do your best?
Yes, this person is also the person that chose me to go to the Summer League last year, 2023. It's Matteo Zuretti, Chief Player Experience Officer at the MBPA. So Matteo is an Italian and he has an outstanding career in basketball, starting from Italy. His journey grew from coaching to being an agent and then representing and working in the union for the players in the league, and in this period where the game is going so global and there are so many international players. So it's somebody I always look up to. I always send me a message or call him when there's something happening in my life, when I'm doing something, and I always seek for his advice because I really have lots of esteem towards him, and I'm very also thankful for the opportunity he gave me when he chose me. So definitely Matteo is important.
It seems everybody who works in sport, somebody gave them an opportunity at one point. So oftentimes, when you're in that internship position, those above you, they want to help you. They want to get you to that next level. So like you said, you recommend you to come to Summer League last year. What was your prior knowledge of Summer League? What were you expecting going into it? And what was your experience like?
So it was definitely a tournament I had heard of because of being the first moment where all the draft players or every player that is trying to get this opportunity we're talking about is as a chance to showcase and to play with all these with all the teams at the league that now come to Summer League. But what I didn't know is that it is the event to be to network in basketball where everybody wants to be, and it really is the place to be. This I didn't know. And also the great part, me, but also you, we were lucky to experience is that you get to be involved and help out with a bunch of other kids that for some reasons are there. Either they have some important relatives, they're not the children of somebody or the nephews of somebody, but at the same time, they're incredible smart kids. So much you can learn from anyone, and it's not something that happens all the time. So it's something you really need to value to be one of them, and to get to engage with them, to work together, to deliver the best events, to make the public enjoy, to make the teams happy, and also you get to watch these players in one of the very first time. We remember the debut of Victor Wembanyama, so everybody was there, and everybody was looking for that day to happen. And I think it's something that we don't need to give for granted, and it was just so lucky to be surrounded by this incredibly smart group. And, when you're surrounded by people that add so much to teach you, so interesting, you always learn. So it's important to really choose and keep close the people you care and you appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very special 11 days, and you're surrounded by such a diverse group of people, not just where they're from, but also their background in sports, how they got into sports. So can you tell listeners what it's like to be surrounded by that many people who are passionate about the industry, but then also just have a complete range of experience and where they want to go?
Well, it's crazy because there's so much going on. There's so many opportunities to be talking to people, get to know people, get invited. I remember what we call the elevator job. When you call the elevator for somebody, and in just 10 seconds, those 10 seconds of waiting, you can meet the person that can change your career, and it's crazy if you think about it. I did live something similar this summer during the Olympics. Between all the operation and events, I had again this feeling of there's so much going on. Everybody wants to be there. everybody cares, everybody wants to network, everybody is interested in hearing your story and see how you could eventually work together. So it's so special. And honestly, I hope that next summer I can go back to Summer League 2025 because I would love to. And I hope you there as well.
I know. We need a reunion. But you had a very quick turnaround. Like you said, Summer League, and then you knew you were going to be working the Olympics in Paris. So you got back from Vegas. What was your routine like? What was it like in the office trying to get ready for this immense event?
Wow, that was a very huge event. Probably the largest in the world, the largest, of course, I ever worked at. But I have to say that from Summer League, we had a good 11 days straight, very long days. So physically, it was definitely great preparation to be ready for what was coming for me this summer. And this summer was very long because if you just watch the Olympics, well, it's an event where there's so much going on, so many sports, but the last two weeks and a half, when you work in the Olympics and Paralympic Games. So first of all, just the events between the opening ceremony of the Olympics and the closing ceremony of Paralympic Games, there's more than a month. Much more than a month, but there's so much operation going on that starts mainly ahead. And before you get into operations mode, there's a journey of planification that in my case, it lasted a year and a half. So it was very long journey where you had slowly advance on a project in which you start to find out about the venues, about the qualifying athletes and teams, about the quotas of the accredited people you will need to be taking care of, so officials, what they call the Olympic Paralympic families, who are the guests, and then the athletes quotas that vary, and then the competition results that can have an impact on the following day, basically. There are weather forecasts to be taken care and can also have an impact. So there's so much, and the routine is, I would say, 1 year and a half before the games. It's still quite slow, if you depend on what you compare to. But in FIBA, I was working in a very fast-paced environment, as I said before, with all of these interaction events all over the world and traveling a lot. So to me, the beginning in Paris 2024 was quite slow because you needed data to populate and to start building your operations. And then little by little, you work more and more and you get more into details and you start, you continue working with all areas. In every area is starting to recruiting and getting to basically have more and more colleagues. When I started in the transport department, I think we were 15. We ended up being 700 this summer. So can you just imagine the amount of people there are special something you need to learn and get to work well together. It's huge. And in the committee, I think we were more than 4,000 people at the very end, plus all the providers, all the partners, all the guests. So it's a massive event. And at some point, basically, you start working day, night, weekends with some rotation, but still just full dedication into the Olympics and the Paralympic Games. It's crazy, but it's such a great thing, and I would do it again, to be honest.
Oh, I'm sure it's so fulfilling. You said a year and a half out before. I don't even know. Can you explain to me what that's like? You know you have a year and a half until this massive event, but you can't do everything at once. You know, it's day by day. So how did you break that up leading up to the event?
Well, sometimes I would say you had the feeling, especially the previous years, that you want to do more because, you know, you feel the excitement, but sometimes you need to accept it. Some part of the job are slower than others. There are some periods. And so you need to, first of all, keep up the motivation, but that's never been my issue. But you need to keep up with the motivation. You need to think how you can anticipate everything that will come at some point. So this is a great part of the job, I would say. And you need to start dealing with all the functional areas, because basically it's a cross-functional project that needs to be done. And sometimes you have the chance to work with colleagues that have done this before, which definitely helps a lot. But other times, there are people that never attended an Olympic before or never delivered the games before. So it's very important also how to learn how to work with these people that have less experience than others, but still can bring so much to the table because they have different background. And you need to basically start getting to work and understand how all the providers and partners work, what they need, what the challenges can be, and you need to start anticipate on them and work your plans on that as well.
Do you have an example of that, of when you were able to anticipate something that needed to be done and you just got right on it?
Well, I can give you some examples in terms of for instance, flight planning and all this. Basically, it was quite fun and kept myself busy because one of the sports I took care was soccer. And soccer is played like in FIBA World Cups in multi-cities. It's a multi-city tournament. So basically you have all the teams traveling around. So we built this transport mode from one city to another that could be done by bus, by train, by commercial flight or by charter flights. And this depending on the origin and destination of a city. But in soccer, the ranking of group can basically lead you to play the next game in one city or another. So you need to start basically planning all the potential outcome of some sports results. Indeed, it's not crystal clear, I would say, for some partner that you basically book something just in case you will need it.
Right.
But it needs to be cancelled eventually, because the outcome of the sports just said something else. So you need to start building a strategy and how to basically damage the impacts financially, but also on the PR side for the partner. So in just imagine all trains are booked during the games, and suddenly there is an empty wagon. And what you want to do, because doesn't look good that it's empty if everything else is booked. So you need to basically make understand the partner and try to work a strategy to make sure that everybody, also the public, can also get their transfer, and maybe some policies in place or something like this.
Things can change so fast in sports, as you're saying, depending on win or loss can decide what you're doing the next day. You said FIBA was very fast-paced, so I'm sure those skills helped you in your job at the Olympics.
Yes, for sure. And I think that also coming from a federation was a great background to then move to the other side, because in the games, your counterpart is the IOC for the Olympics and IPC for Paralympics. But still, the international federations are some of the stakeholders, some of the clients, basically. So if you come from one of them, it's a very lucky position, because you know better the clients, you know what they need, what their needs are for their officials, for their stakeholders. So it makes the conversation much easier, I would say, to work together. Because in the end, there are many things to take into consideration, and definitely a budget is one of these. But what it's important to remember that in the end, we all want to deliver or to attend as athletes, teams, the best event. So when the goal is shared, this common goal, it's easier. It's just important how to learn how to work together. So this was the lucky and the advantage of coming from FIBA and knowing FIBA well. And also FIBA has been organizing events all over the world. So I already worked in the past with organizers and people from different continents, cultures, which made everything easier to then have these people as colleagues as well. So that was
yeah, a lot of overlap. I mean, that's usually how sports is. Then you have certain skills that you take from every job, but then you're also learning something new. But you said watching the Olympics and Paralympics, the fulfilling aspect of it, like this common goal that you're working towards. Can you explain what that feeling was like when you saw the closing ceremonies and you just kind of knew, okay, we pulled it off?
It's an amazing feeling. It's something I probably never felt before. It's something that really I felt very proud, was very satisfied with the outcomes of my operation, but also the overall operations. I think it was a great event. We can also say that it was perfect in everything, but I think that everybody that was in Paris just loved it. Had so much fun. We had these iconic venues in front of the Eiffel Tower, at the Château de Versailles, Grand Palais, just to mention a few, which made everything spectacular. The performances were very great. And in terms of operations, in terms of transport, but also in terms of security, I think security was a big deal in France, especially for the previous year for the country. I think it was a great, satisfactory event. And being part of this from the organizing side just makes you feel extremely proud of what we as a team managed to accomplish. And I was pretty emotional in the closing ceremony of the Paralympics because it kind of, even if you're not done working, there's so much reports to do and things to do before you actually close and your work ends. But you close a circle that for me lasted more than 1 year and a half, but for others lasted for years, from the bid to when they won the bid to host in 2024, and then all these years of planning where the overall staff been growing, and I met extremely great professionals with whom was a pleasure for me to work with, honestly.
Mm-hmm. What was your biggest takeaway from the experience, from the operational side?
From the operational side, I would say always have a plan B. So even because this it will always be useful at some point. So the earlier you have your plan B ready, the easier you go to deal with anything. I say this because depending on the culture, it can also be maybe a French cultural thing that they want to be optimistic and they say, okay, something's happened on the D-Day, we'll figure it out, and this. But to me, it's very important to build a strategy, plan it, but also plan on the contingency, knowing the resources you have, people, money, it's very important, and timing. So there are certain factors to always keep in mind, and it's important to plan detailed operations, very detailed, and also have a plan B for anything that could potentially happen. But then we stay positive.
Great advice. Yeah, stay positive. Hopefully plan A works out. But as you said, I think it's a very good point, because you can't plan everything, like some things you just have to go with it, but it's nice to have that backup, and the preparation makes you more confident, you feel more prepared, and then hopefully the plan A will work out. But you said obviously a lot of operational tasks during the Olympics, but is there a special moment where you were just a fan from either the Olympics or Paralympics where you were just able to experience it from the in perspective?
So surprisingly, because our team was very well staffed, we also managed to have some rotation and work in some kind of shifts, unless some big issues were happening, so we had to stay together. I did buy some tickets, so I went to watch some Olympic and some Paralympic events. Always in Paris. I did not have time to travel to other co-host cities, but also enjoyed my time as a fan. Honestly, I did watch some swimming, which for me was very special because I was a swimmer myself. When I was young, when I was a baby, basically, I dreamed of being in the Olympics. Didn't make it as an athlete. They made it not just as an attendee, but as an organizer. It was very special.
Yeah.
And watching the event of swimming was very exciting and very also emotional. But on another level, I had one day off, which I entirely spent watching basketball because I was just so good, honestly. So it's fashion, so I did enjoy also as a fan. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned how the fans and you just thought of everything that had come before it and everything that led to that moment. For the athletes, it's them when they're competing, they're remembering all the training they did before. For you as a fan and on the operational side, you're reminded of everything that led you to that moment. So the Olympics, I'd say, was a success. You sound like you had an amazing time, and obviously a lot of work went into it. So good for you. Congratulations on accomplishing that. But what's next up ahead for Val?
Well, I don't know yet. I just know that I wanna stay in the industry. I wanna stay in this industry because it is very tiring. Honestly, the grind is real, but I just feel great. I just felt so satisfied when so proud when I saw the outcome of work me and the team managed to do. And I also realized during this busy summer, that planning and delivering the Olympic and Paralympic Games is something that was so great to me in my career that I want to do it again. So I do have a clear goal. That is LA 28. I lived in LA before. I love the city, and I do want to go back to LA. So I try my best to bring or to get there and to bring on my expertise there. So fingers
crossed. Fingers crossed. But whether you're a fan or working the event in 2028, what's one thing you're excited for about the Olympics and Paralympics then?
Well, I think what this audience here is probably mainly American, but for Europeans or people like me that grew up in Italy, the level of sports they get to watch in the US is just something else. It's something else how the sport events, so I'm very excited to see the best top athletes in the performances and records that for sure will happen in LA. And also the city, there's so many new arenas. They were built recently in this past years, or they're currently basically be built for the Olympics. They will also use older arenas, which makes it very exciting to combine the two aspects of it. So mixing a bit of history and a bit of innovation. I think we will see in LA something that the sports industry, sportainment, but also sports industry has never seen before, and I'm so ready to say it.
I'm excited too. I can't wait to see you out here in 4 years. Hopefully we'll connect before then, see you in person. Maybe, UFC basketball, women's basketball in Paris. I might have to book my flight.
Yeah, women's basketball is great. So it's something that I can't wait to be watching more and more. We are witnessing definitely a super important moment in the history. So it's better to stay connected and not to miss it, because it's going to be great. Yeah. Greater.
Yes, for sure. It's special to be a part of that. But thank you so much for coming on this podcast, SBC Audio Experience. I had a great time hearing more about your experience. I knew your background, but it was amazing to talk to you again and share with the viewers your experience working in Summer League, FIBA, and the Olympics. So thank you so much, Val.
Thanks so much to you, Riley, for your time and for the invite.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our VSL Talent Alumni Series with Valentina Mattioli. I hope you enjoyed hearing about her introduction to the sports world and learned something new about what it takes to jumpstart your career in the sports industry. Make sure to share this episode with your friends, family, and colleagues, and anyone else interested in the business of sports. Please like us on social media and subscribe and leave a review. You can find the show notes at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. Let us know if you listen, and if you enjoyed the episode, tag us on your Instagram story at Sports Business Classroom. Text it to a friend and spread the news of this year's SBC Business of Basketball Immersive Experience. This episode is also brought to you by Hall Pass Media, a full-service marketing agency that specializes in brand consulting, event management, digital marketing, and creative design. For more information on Hall Pass Media, go to hallpassnetwork.com.